jab, uppercut, leave you laid out on the floor. Try to duck and roll, hit and miss, now you counting stars. Should've practiced more, should've hit the mask, get out there more. Claim that you're the best. You gotta show me, son. Actions over words, baby boy. Is you real or what? Talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports,
Yo, once again, you're tuned in to World Combat Sports. Salute to all the supporters, man. I'm waiting for everybody to get into the room. Got some hot topics to talk about. My apologies for the previous lives, man. I was on the phone talking some boxing business, about some things that's going on behind the scenes or whatever. So, therefore, I was like, I had to go in depth about, to get my information together and everything about this. But yeah, man, y'all come in the building, man, smash the like button. You know what I'm saying? Show some support to the channel if you choose to do so. If not, tell somebody else to do it if you unwilling to do it yourself. That's the only thing I can say. You know what I'm saying? Plus, we're going to get into, people's feelings about, the 2 lives I did on Marvelous Jarvis, I would put it down like this. Of all the content that's on YouTube, you can't be that concerned about what I put out, about one person. And you can't be mad at how I put it out because you're once again, you're putting these people on the popularity scale. You know what I'm saying? You're putting them close to your heart when you don't know them. You don't know these individuals. It don't matter where you're from. Boxing is a global sport. So therefore, if you're mad about something that somebody said on YouTube and it's something that's strictly boxing, nothing personal, not talking about their family, then you got the issue. You have an issue with yourself, bro. That's all I can say. I get to that later. Y'all got an issue with the wrong person. Mr. Gumbo, what's good? It's good. Salute WCS. Salute to you, my brother. SB90 on deck, man. Salute OG. Hope all is well. All is well, man. All is well. I'm gonna give a minute to get this popping. You know what I'm saying? Just give me a minute, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna allow some people to get in here. We got some good things popping. All right. Let's get down to it. You know what I'm saying? They'll fill in when they fill in. So this is a little bit more serious live than earlier today, right? More so to the fact I want to kind of highlight some things that's taking place and basically express the mentality that I have on this YouTube and speaking about boxing and the fact that I've been talking about covering MMA and grappling for a reason. Okay. You see the thumbnail, right? You see the thumbnail of the one and only Jake Paul, right? So you've heard me speak on it. You know, I was on record as calling them the Goofball brothers and everything else. So what's going on with Jake Paul is, just like I said in the beginning, I said when I first heard of the Paul brothers infiltrating, so to speak, across the lines, the boxing lines, what I'm saying, of boxing, the easy route, they coming in through the side door instead of the front door, and they getting all this recognition. I said to myself, you know, I felt some type of way about it because I didn't consider them to be true, authenticated, or certified fighters who went through the amateurs and then they transferred over to the professional ranks. Now, money has always been at the helm of professional boxing. Money involves business deals, right? And we all know from history, not all the fights that was in boxing that made money was what you considered a true boxing match. And this where Jake Paul and them coming to the fray. Jake Paul and them came up in here, and his initial fight. Hold on for a second. His initial fight, was against another YouTuber back in February 2020. So initially, when I put this out there, if you look at it, it was at the in Miami, and the event is going to trip you out, right? It had O&O records, right? They had O&O records. This was Jake Paul's debut. I'm just trying to give you a hourglass on how quick he has made it to standing beside boxing promoters, y'all. Boxing promoters. This shit is unlike any magic show that you thought you would be a part of. When I say you thought you would be a part, I'm speaking of those who support the sport. They tune in, they claim to be a hardcore fanatic, so to speak, and boxing their favorite combat sport. Jake Paul was able to get this done. Like I said, February 2020, he fought on a fight against another YouTuber. You know what I'm saying? This was January 30th, 2020, y'all. January 30th, 2020, Jake Paul made his debut against another debut fighter, Ali Gibb. Okay, this was at cruiserweight, 191, of course. He doesn't digress below 190. So he's basically fighting a smaller opponent, 188, and Ali Gibb, which wasn't nowhere close to being an athlete. Let me tell you some of the individuals that was on that card, though. You had undefeated Austin Williams, who was 4-0. You know what I'm saying? You had Otha Jones the third, 4-0. You had Amanda Serrano on that card, 37-1 at the time. You had Demetrius Andrade at middleweight, 28-0 against Luke Keeler. And you had Tevin Farmer versus Jojo Diaz as the main event. This was January 30th, 2020. This was a month before the Wilder Fury rematch, people. Here, come on now, hear me out. This was a month before the Wilder Fury rematch. The promoter, Eddie Hearns. Eddie Hearns was pretty much the originator. He was pretty much the originator of putting these Paul brothers on. He put them on first. But you know, his money is contingent. His money is contingent on the money that he can bring in and so forth. You know, he has a billionaire that's over the zone. You know what I'm saying? A billionaire that's funding that. So his money is contingent, and he's doing a damn good job. So let's move it on, right? Let's move it on. Let's look at the Nate Robinson deal. We already know that was on what? What promoter was that? That promoter was Jimmy Birchfield. That promoter was Triller. That was over there in California. That was November 28th of the same year, 2020. He fought Nate Robinson. Now, let me pause a little bit and kind of give you an understanding of where I'm at. When Jake Paul initially fought Ali Gibb, nobody was looking for Jake Paul. Nobody was looking for him because he wasn't important. You know who was important? His brother Logan Paul. His brother Logan Paul was the more important Paul brother. All right. So let me give you a fact about Logan Paul on how quick the Paul brothers made this turnaround. And stick with me, man. I'm not going to take too long on this, but I want you to see how shit is changing right now with the Paul brothers and why we should be concerned. So you have Logan Paul, right? So let's go back to November 9th, 2019. The event. Peep this out. This is November. This is 2 months, just a little 2 months out, 2+ months out from the Wilder Fury rematch. So let's go through this and see who was on this card. This is Logan Paul now. This is Logan Paul, the promoter, Eddie Hearns. Eddie Hearns promoted the fight the fight card I just gave you, and he promoted this one. This was in what? Staples Center, Los Angeles, California. Let's go down and see who was on this card. Let's start off with Nikita Bobby. Nikita Bobby was on 7-0. Nikita Bobby was on this card. Guess what? This is when Devin Haney fought Alfredo Santiago. Devin Haney was 23-0. Alfredo Santiago was 12-0. All right. Devin Haney fought on this card. All right. Logan Paul fought KSI at 199 pounds, just at the 200 limit. Debut. Also, you had another debut. Joshua Bruckner against Tyler Smith. I know you don't know, but stay with me. I'm just giving you a rundown. You had Billy Joe Saunders and Marcelo Caceres. This was promoted by Eddie Hearns, November 2019. So the fight card I just told you with Jake Paul, right, was February 2020. Then he fought again November 2020. That's 2 freaking fights against nobodies. 2 different fights against nobody. Look, my thumbnail is profile is the new credential. I'm speaking on the profile of Jake Paul because it's very important for you to know how Jake Paul profile has him where he's at right now. So he goes in here in 2021 and, the build up and everything, people was telling him he need to fight a boxer. So once again, he chooses a smaller opponent and fight Ben Askren. He fights Ben Askren April 17, 2021. Ben Askren's debut. Gibb was a debut. Robinson was a debut. Askren was a debut, right? Now it's getting to the point where I'm feeling some way about what I'm reading. You know what I'm saying? I'm feeling a little bit agitated, right? So he went April 2021 and continued against Ben Askren, knocked him out in the first round. That was a debut for Ben Askren, a former mixed martial arts world champion and won championship. And he contended over there in the UFC. He was the one. He was the only to this date. He was the only fighter that was traded for a fighter from a neighboring organization to make it into the UFC. Ben Askren was traded for Demetrius Johnson. Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, the king of the flyweight division. Ben Askren was traded for him. So Ben Askren came from one championship over to the UFC, and then Demetrius left. Check this out. He's knocked out in the first round. Then all the talk from the Ben Askren fight, and I'm sitting there looking at this. This is no cap, bro. I'm sitting there and I'm listening, and I'm hearing shit. I'm hearing the little sidebar conversations about Tyrone Woodley. And then they put it on film, Tyrone Woodley back there with Jalen Love, and all the talk began, right? And then I'm talking to people. I say, man, I think, Tyrone Woodley may be the next one in line. This is the perfect time to kind of build up the shit. And then, him talking to Jalen Love kind of, put a spark up. Oh, man, they talking shit to each other. And then Jake Paul added his 2 cents in it. And that right there built up a little small communication to say, well, they don't like each other. Potentially, Tyrone Woodley say he's willing to get in the ring, this, that, and the other. That was planned. That was planned, y'all. The shit y'all didn't see is when Tyrone Woodley and everybody was just walking and conversing with Team Jake Paul, and it was all cool. But at that moment, they sold it to the crowd just like they do with WWE. They sold it to the audience when the camera was on. But what you didn't see in person was that everybody was pretty amicable. So he knocked out Tyrone Woodley's teammate. Boom. Now it comes into play the following several months down the road. In August, he steps in with Tyrone Woodley. He goes to a split decision. That was by design. Tyrone Woodley was, going to split decision was by design. Because check this out. Tyrone Woodley is that dude. You know what I'm saying? This is a 5-time world champion. He's that guy. He's certified. He has a pretty damn good chin. He was going the distance with Jake Paul to build up the second fight. Because he was running out of opponents. Jake Paul was running out of opponents. A beautiful transition, a beautiful script. You got to give it up to him. A beautiful script by Jake Paul and his team and everybody else. You don't hear nothing about Logan Paul in this category. Jake Paul is pretty much blossom out on his own, and he's doing his shit, right? He goes to a split decision with Tyrone Woodley. Nobody thinks nothing about it. You know what I'm saying? He wins a split decision with Tyrone Woodley. It wasn't Tyrone's first loss in combat sports. Tyrone Woodley was already on a 4-fight losing streak, a 4-fight skid. So boom, he loses to Jake Paul, and some months go by, and they're pretending like they about to fight Tommy Fury. But all along, I'm talking to people. I say, is it possible? Because I don't think the Fury name is going to put themselves, because they're trying to build up Tommy Fury. They wouldn't put him in a match like this. And people was like, man, it's probably not going to happen. Just keep that, on the low. It's probably not going to happen. It's just to build up. So if I would have brought that shit, you think it wouldn't have got back? Yeah, it would have got back, because the cat is out the bag. Meow. You know what I'm saying? The cat was out the bag. This shit is going down, and it's predetermined. And it's just to draw the fans in, because they was complaining about Jake Paul not facing a boxer. People starting to chime in and say, you know what, he ain't facing no boxers, man. You fighting small dudes. I was telling people Tyrone Woodley's never fought above 170 at welterweight in mixed martial arts, bro. Never. So it got close and close, and guess what? Tommy Fury pulled out, and Tyrone Woodley is slid into the equation. They had to do that because they just seen Tyrone Woodley lose a split decision. And you also have to understand who just signed, Jake Paul. You know what I'm saying? Who was the promoter? So you had to take all that into consideration, that this was Ohio Athletic State Commission. This was a Showtime PPV. You have to understand, Jake Paul left Triller and went over to Showtime. That was plans. That was plans. His last fight with Ben Askren was the last fight on Triller. Then he transferred over to his new signee to Showtime to scoop up the money. Went over there and scooped up the bag. And then you had to play along. They had, the fans believing that he was about to actually face a boxer. And Tommy Fury, they told Tommy Fury talk a little trash online and shit like that to build it up. He pulled out of an injury. Go figure, right? Go figure. He pulls out from an injury. Go figure. That is a commonality, just like COVID. People don't have to really say injuries no more, right? They can use COVID. So he pulls out from an injury, and Tyrone Woodley had already been training. If you really stayed close and paid attention, Tyrone Woodley was already training for this fight. He steps in there again for the second time in a rematch in December. And he is stopped in the 6th round. He stopped in the 6th round. Like, are y'all with me? Hold on for a second. Somebody was calling me. So he went in there and he stopped Tyrone Woodley in what I say, and still to this day, was a fixed fight. Real talk. I'm going to stick to that. So how does that play out to what my thumbnail consists of? Because right now, the profile of Jake Paul, who have fought debut fighters, non-boxers, a person who has a social media background, somehow has built a new credential to get ahead in the sport of boxing. Now, like I told you before, this agitated the shit out of me initially, because I was like, how are these Paul brothers cutting the line when you got cats that's really grinding out on the bottom, on the ground floor and everything? Like, how are they doing that? And people saying they got complexion for the protection. No, you have to have a personality. One thing I found out about the Paul brothers is that they play stupid, but they actually pretty smart individuals. They act like pure dummies because they used to do Vine videos where they had to pretend to be a certain way to make that audience laugh. So they built up their following and their stature on social media. You know what I'm saying? They built up their presence, and also they established what is called a profile. I want you to understand something. This is the new language in boxing. The profile. The profile is the credential that fighters need moving forward in the sport of boxing. Jake Paul, Logan Paul have profiles. They're not nowhere close to being a spectacular athlete, but they have profiles. And the reason why their profiles is moving past fighters who have did it the so-called right way, it's exactly what I said. They're willing to do crazy shit. They're willing to, to be magnetic to the fight fans. They have ways about them that draws in attention. They're two white guys. They came in with silver spoons in there. So they might get a little bit more push in a connection from what they had previous to coming in here. But we really can't say all of it was because they was white. They had to have some talent to be able to create content on social media when Vines was a thing. Up there with King Batch and all them guys, What's Good? All them guys are somewhat ventured off. All them guys that was doing Vines, they're doing other things. You got people in movies. You got the Paul brothers over here in the sport of boxing. Jake Paul has a profile that has exceeded a lot of fighters that are currently lacing up gloves for legitimate contracts, y'all. Legitimate contracts off what they have did in the sport of boxing. And the reason why, you know, I'm not as mad as I was initially, because I went around and talked to boxers and I kind of got their feedback on what they think of the Paul brothers. And their answers pretty much changed my drive to act as if I was somewhat perturbed about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, why am I feeling some type of way when the sport that I've been supporting for several years, the fighters don't care about it? That showed me that it is a system. All these athletes are in a system and they're fighting for something on the ruler. They don't know when they're going to move up the metrics of the ruler. They just know they have this schedule and I'm going to make this amount of money. Let me get in fight camp. So the system has them in a basic simulated routine. They know in order for them to get prepared for a fight, what do you have to do? You have to go to fight camp. That's pretty much after you get the word from your team and everybody else. You got to get in fight camp. You pretty much have to do the contract. It's a whole lot of details that has to be ironed out. And they go through the same recycled routine. It's a simulation internal to a system, an unregulated system, y'all. Boxing is an unregulated system. Due to the sport being non-regulated, it allows individuals to do and get over on a lot of areas that people can consider unlawful and illegal. Jake Paul at this point in time has did nothing special in his career as a pro boxer. But what he did was take advantage of the audience that was tuned in. He took advantage of showboating and having a bravado, machismo, whatever you want to call it, attracted new fans to the sport of boxing, even though he is not a boxer like that. He blatantly picked out hand-selected opponents that had some type of identity to them in another sport. That's exactly what he did. And everybody, even Ali Gibb, he had a social media following. But when it comes to Nate Robinson, he had an NBA following. You know what I'm saying? Ben Askren, he had a following in MMA, whether it was from his wins or where he was knocked out in 5 seconds by Jorge Masvidal. Tyrone Woodley, you're talking about a man who smashed Robbie Lawler and went on to defend his title 4 times. All of these guys had a following. All of the guys had a profile that Jake Paul helped take to another level because he got with the right people. It might not have been as big at first, but he went from Triller, then settled in the Triller, and then his people, whoever his team is, his full team, they're doing a damn good job with Jake Paul because he stayed with Triller. He made a pit stop at Triller, collected the bag, and then left to go to Showtime. Somebody on his team is doing a damn good job. So he has built this profile up to the point where he's making way more money than boxers who's been in the sport already for freaking 5 to 8 years. He's made more money in the sport, in their sport. And the fighters should be looking at this like, damn, how the fuck? Oh my God. How this dude coming here making all this money? He goofy as shit. He ain't doing that. I'll whoop his ass and all the other language that goes around. He built the profile. He took the profile of the social media, came in the sport of boxing, talking all that shit, still looking goofy. He built himself up from a profile. And with the money that he had, he put himself in a place, in a position to begin to climb. Like I said before, when his brother Logan Paul fought in 2019, nobody was looking for Jake Paul. When he fought Ali Gibb in 2020, nobody was looking for Jake Paul. That 2020 year is where it all started. He started then putting them fights behind, building, all the way up to 2021. He was able to charge us PPV. Now, the big news, because money is, and look, money is the grandstand of boxing. Money is an intricate part of business in boxing. Now he's signing Amanda Serrano. Very genius idea, because it's been talk about women getting big paydays. Jake Paul is going to be part of Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor, getting one of the biggest paydays of their career. A non look, a non boxer who has somehow built his profile up as a boxer and placed himself in now a more important role in boxing to deal with boxers. And just so happened it's two popular female fighters, Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor, which is just straight up incredible, dog. Like, this shit is just incredible. The time frame for which he was able to do it. The time frame is just sick right now. Amanda Serrano's a 7-weight champion, right? She's 42-1-1, 30 knockouts. She's a southpaw. She had a total of 44 bouts, man. She's 33 years old. 33 years old. And Jake Paul said, you know what? Let me sign her and try to make one of the biggest fight that people are looking for. Let me go ahead and do that. Now you can look at Amanda Serrano's record. You know, you see the Heather Hardy on there. You know, she went in there with the competition that was accessible to her. But she's still a big name when it comes to boxing. Real talk. And then you have her opponent, Katie Taylor, who is 20-0 and 6 knockouts. She's 35 years old. Amanda Serrano is 33. Katie Taylor is 35. Who brought that, besides them fighting on the card, you know, who brought that to Jake Paul's attention? How did they sit down and Amanda Serrano feel comfortable to sign with Jake Paul to basically elevate her status in boxing? This is a 33-year-old woman. She's on the backside of her career. Jake Paul is going to get mad recognition for whatever and however it turns out. Every positive part of it, he's going to get recognition. Every downside, people are going to look at it like, well, at least he took the initiative to do what somebody else has not. You know what I'm saying? At least he was able to take her to a different level, higher than where she was currently at. People are going to look at the effort, bro. Listen to me. People are going to look at the effort in this shit. They're going to look at the effort. They don't care about what the numbers are going to be. They're going to put some steam behind this, and they're going to put it out on the wave. They're going to then ride this wave out until it hits shore. People are really talking about this 10-round fight. And this and this is the crazy part. Katie Taylor, they put her at the top pound for pound list at 35 years old. How many divisions do she have comparable to Amanda Serrano? She's 20-0, 6 knockouts. Who resume is more important? But Jake Paul see the relevance in this. It's becoming a bit genius with these Jake Paul brothers. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's becoming a bit genius with the Jake Paul brothers. I'm not gonna lie to you, people. Fighters need to find a way to build a profile and get and establish themselves in boxing. They need to understand they're in a jungle, man. This is a wide open system where you can do a lot of things. You can do a lot of things to try to build up a profile. Sometimes you have to be patient. You know, I spoke to Michael Williams Sr. We was having a conversation. And I had this thought on my mind when they was, raising $150 up, right? And I was looking at everything, and I was looking how boxing is, this huge landscape of boxing. And so many people are out here just moving around. It's just like having a panoptic view, right? On an anthill. And You know how you just kick open the top of an anthill and ants just scatter everywhere? That's sort of how boxing is. It's just stuff that's everywhere. And I told him, I say, man, you're not in a rush. You don't need to be in a rush to get him to the big stage. You know, he could have ran up the record of 25-0. He could have just ran it up 25-0. But then it comes to a point where that's his son, that's his decision making, that's what he wanted to do. That's where my limits hit. You know, I have a perimeter, but I told him, I said, you can just run it up. Don't be in a rush in this boxing game because you're going nowhere fast. Because once just say you get a championship, they want you to defend that shit. And if you don't defend it enough times for them and you don't move up, you lose it or whatever the case, they pretty much give you the same treatment like Teofimo Lopez and like everybody else that didn't do anything. So it's no need to rush. But at this point in time, Jake Paul definitely has established a profile for his credential in boxing. Jake Paul is one of those guys who can show up to a fight card and he don't have to be me. See, I had to go through all the yarn, the duct tape, you know, trying to get a credential and everything. Someone who truly wants to cover the sport and get the interviews. There's someone like Jake Paul who now he can go to an event and they're going to give him VIP service. Why? Because he's established a profile. They know who he is. They're going to look at him as being a legitimate boxer. You have mixed martial artists. You have professional boxers that's trying to get on the Jake Paul gravy train, bro. They want to soak in some of that gravy, and hopefully it gets them their big check like Tyrone Woodley. Just think about it. Tyrone Woodley, he put up a poll when he was knocked out in the rematch, and he'll do this, whatever it was, to the person who can give him the funniest meme or whatever. How would he subject himself to that embarrassment and that ridicule as being a legitimate MMA fighter who was knocked out by a social media star? Money will have you doing some shit that you don't care about, just like crack. What did Rick James say? Rick James say cocaine is a hell of a drug. Well, money is too. You'll do anything. When a man gives you a Rolex watch at the beginning of a fight, you actually think that person's going to win? And you consider the B-side? You're not going to win. It's already predetermined. Tyrone Woodley knew it. But Jake Paul's profile allowed him to get away with it. Him and his teammate, his good friend Ben Askren, was knocked out the exact same way to sell the knockout. It doesn't take me to tell you that all you have to do is look at the video and look at how they was knocked out. They moved around a little bit. You know, Ben Askren, before he was knocked out, get it over with, done, go to the showers. They was knocked out the same way. I've seen Ben Askren hit with 4-ounce gloves and he took a punch and kept on fighting Robbie Lawler. But he comes in here and get hit and boom, they stiffen up. I've never seen Ben Askren. Ben Askren came over to the UFC 18-0. He never been knocked out like that. Tyrone Woodley, even when he was knocked out by Nate Marquardt, he's never knocked out like that. But I'm not here to talk about what I feel about the fights and all that. I'm just here to tell you, fighters need to think about building up a profile in order for them to make it to the highest rung on the ladder, to make as much money as possible. That's why I'm not mad at the Devin Haney's who's negotiating or so forth. But sometimes you have to look at it like this. Build up your profile and then you become the prima donna. You become the entitled fighter. Then people can look at you as that you earned something. You know what I'm saying? They will look at you as if you earned something because your profile says you did this and this for people to tune in to watch you. A lot of these fighters don't have a profile yet. Just because people know your name, they don't look at you as having a profile. They just know who you are. They know what's been said. Look, I don't think the Jake Paul brothers, I don't even think they really pay attention to all the talk that's going on YouTube. They have a whole different circle around them. I really don't think they pay attention to what goes on all this YouTube, because it's far fetched than what's actually going on in the sport of boxing. It's quite opposite. They look at it like I'm making moves. I'm basically partying with the biggest celebrities in the world, and they busy up here creating content on stories that's not even nowhere close to what he understands the reality is in the sport of boxing. Just look at it this way. How many times do you look at an article in boxing and this fighter is supposed to be fighting so and so, they're in talks, and then give it a couple of weeks down the line, that shit is all the way different. The language is all the way different. They're not fighting as another fighter. Should be done by May. This fighter should be looking to close the deal in May. But we just heard he was fighting a totally different name, a couple of weeks ago. And then when it's all said and done, that fighter may potentially fight the second name that was out, or he fights somebody totally different than the previous two. That's boxing. What about, so-and-so has agreed to fight fight this fighter, right? And then you give it a little time. The fighter comes out like Ryan Garcia. No, I'm not fighting that person. I'm fighting this person. No, I'm not fighting this person. It's the up and down roller coaster with no seatbelt. I'm fighting this person. No, I ain't fighting this person. No, I'm fighting that person. I ain't fighting this person. Or what about the fighters who have big fight news all the time, but they can't tell us shit? They can't tell us nothing. And then you have channels that'll put out information that's not even confirmed. They just going off the same shit I go off of. People that's inside to tell you something they really don't know themselves. Boxing is a table of lies, man. It's so many lies, and you and hold that and bookmark this shit, because the next topic is gonna blow your mind on boxing being a web of lies, a table of lies, everything that deals with lies. You know what I'm saying? You gamble. People gamble their life to make some decent money in boxing, and then it comes to a point, if their profile not big enough, and they're asking the people that's around them, why can't I get this fight? Why can't I get that fight? Why can't I get this amount of money? It's all about the profile you have. It's all about who you know. It's all about, are you willing to surrender? Let's just say you thought about being a legitimate boxer instead of a journeyman. And then you get to a point where I can't get paid. I can't get paid doing the A side. They want me to pay for my fight. They want me to pay for my fight. And they want me to pay for my opponent's fight on the big stage. I can't do that. I don't have the money. I don't have the financial support. I don't have sponsors. So fighters have to make a decision like, God damn, when am I going to get a big paycheck, dog? And what happened? They decide to take the fight. The fight is a fight that they're going into that they're not going to win. I'm about to give you the perfect example. When I was looking at Barbershop the other night, and he had Serafina on there again, and shout out to Fred. Nothing wrong with what Fred, I don't have nothing to do with that situation. I'm speaking about the conversation and the dialogue on there. Perfect example. I'm explaining to you, the audience. Perfect example of my point. Serafina was on there with a boxer, Lamana. All right. AK Cornflake. It was a white fighter, right? And he mentioned a point that, he was criticizing Rick Glaser. You know what I'm saying? He was criticizing insults about Rick Glaser on saying that, he's just a matchmaker, and he was trying to downplay him just like everybody else, the presence that he has in boxing. And he insinuated that Rick gave him a fight, and he pretty much telling him to go in there and just take the money, right? That's what Cornflake. Hit the replay over there on the interview. I'm listening to this shit. I'm looking at it. Cornflake insinuated that Rick Glaser just wanted him to go in there and take the fight. But the story that he didn't tell you was when he was trying to insinuate that Rick wanted him just to go in there and take the money and be happy he's getting the money, was the fact that he was explained in depth. This is shit you ain't gonna find online. He was explained in depth that at this point in your career, I can get you this fight. This is gonna be a tough fight. All right? I can get you a fight for this amount of money. What? From my understanding, the check he was going to get was like over 100,000. You want to know who he was in there? He was going to step in there with when he was over there. Now this is all part of what I've been building up. You know who he was going to step in there with when he was up here trying to act like that he was going to be the next guy. Like he haven't built up no profile. Nobody wasn't looking for Cornflake. But he said Rick Glazer tried to send him into the ring just to take a paycheck and tell him to be happy. What he didn't tell y'all was the fact that he was fighting Erislandy Lara. Rick Glazer told this cat, pretty much, I got you what you asked for and with the tough opponent. That's the only way you're going to get a bag like this. That's the only way you're going to get paid like this. This guy was assuming that his skills was much higher than what they actually are. His whole intent was to get a bag, to get the most money he ever got. So therefore, in boxing, you run into people, you build up a profile, and you connect with people, and sometimes it work out. But the win, the W, you may not get the W. But you might get the financial compensation that you're looking for because you wanted to fight. The rest is left up to you. Rick Glazer told him straight up, that's a tough fighter. Erislandy Lara ain't no joke. Everybody know who that is. But when he was on Fred's show, he was trying to insinuate that, man, I was in there to win the fight, and Rick was telling me this, that, and the other. Rick was saying, just be happy and get the money and go in there and do your best. But he had like he didn't have confidence or whatever he was up there saying. It was all bullshit, dog. Because Rick told him straight up. He told him straight up, this guy's tough. Pretty much you're going to get your ass beat. Cornflake thought that he can actually go in there and beat Erislandy Lara. You know how long the fight lasted? The fight didn't get out of the first minute and a half of the first round. It did not get out of the first minute and a half of the first round before Cornflake was knocked stiff. Knocked the fuck out. That's why I sit back and I analyze shit and I be listening and I try to surf these media waves and listen to people talk. And I'm just saying to myself, like, this is something you're not going to find online. But since Rick Glazer has been on here making rounds on YouTube, some people feel the need to make it dirty as it is. The dude is smart. What he told Cornflake was absolutely what he should have heard. Man, Erislandy Lara is a beast. You're going to get your ass beat. But guess what? You his opponent. I got you the money that you always wanted. But I'm not going to sit up here and tell you, you're going to win. I'm not your trainer, bro. I'm not your trainer. I'm giving you what you asked for. I got you the fight, but you ain't going to win. He was coming off in front of the audience over there trying to pretend like he wanted to go in there and win the fight. And it was because of that. No. You went in there with every intentions of overhyping yourself because you thought your profile was bigger than what it was, and you got knocked the fuck out. I'm off that. I just thought I'd give you shout out to everyone that's in the live chat, man. Shout out to everyone in the live chat. But this is where I'm at with it. I want you all to, consider that moving forward. You might look at it and laugh or do whatever, because people love to look at how many people's in your live chat as if you don't have knowledge on anything. This is probably one of my more serious lives when I actually take the time to speak on it, because a lot of times people don't want to believe what you say. But Jake Paul and Logan Paul has built up a profile, and they're making major shifts in the sport of boxing. Now, if you understand and you pay attention to you have Bob Arum, who's 90 years old. Everybody knows who the OG is. He's a triple OG. We don't know how long he's going to be in the game. We have Eddie Hearns, who said he's going to be out the sport at 50. We're going to have to look at the successors of some of these promoters. Who are they going to be? Who are they grooming to be the next? It has to be somebody with some type of profile for them to push forward and continue to move. Look at Al Heyman. No one knows what Al Heyman is doing. No one sees Al Heyman. There's a couple of picks out there, but that's about it. Golden Boy, Oscar De La Hoya. We know he exists. He's alive. But Golden Boy Promotions is not one of those premier. I'm talking about premier promotions that's out here moving the room, moving the sport. Recognizable in this system as being one of the top promotions. Like, no one's going to put Golden Boy over Top Rank. No one's putting it over PBC. None of that shit. So you're grooming individuals to come in and kind of get promoted and groom them to be the next. Now, you have other microcosms of promoters that's already on deck. You know, we see TGB out there, but we all know TGB has some type of link up to Al Heyman. But also we see MVP. The promotion ran by the one and only Jake Paul. You think Amanda Serrano is going to be the only fighter that Jake Paul signs? This fight card, Amanda Serrano get paid, Katie Taylor get paid. Don't you think the knocks at his door is going to increase? People are going to come calling. I got to get in contact with Jake Paul. Hey, what you looking at? Man, this, that, and the other. Blah, blah, blah. This, that, and the other. It's only a matter of time before you see Jake Paul signing MMA fighters somehow, some way. He'll find some way to sign them as a manager or something. You know what I'm saying? He'll find some way to do it. And he's going to sign more boxers because his profile is established right now. You know another fighter that's building up a profile? And you're going to laugh at this. Another fighter who I was just criticizing the other day that's building up a profile. That's Teofimo Lopez. He's building up a profile. You know why he's building up a profile? Because he's getting sponsorships. You remember, those of you that tune into my lives, right? I'm not going to sit up here and bookmark everything. It's 2 minutes. It's too much. But you remember me saying, like, how the sponsorship, how boxers aren't on commercials. You don't see that many boxers on TV. You don't see that many boxers doing what Floyd Mayweather was able to do with WWE, go in there and you know, put hands on the Big Show. You know what I'm saying? Do what Tyson was able to do. Ronda Rousey was able to do. You don't see that, right? You don't see it. But you know who I saw at WrestleMania? You know who I seen? A Paul brother. Wasn't it Logan Paul over there? Logan Paul, the Paul brothers on the biggest entertainment screen there is. They was over there at WrestleMania, dog. These boxers have to be willing to jump out of character just like Floyd did. Just like Mike Tyson was able to do. Put on a show for a different fan base to build your profile up. So when it's time for you to fight, you might have some people in World Wrestling Entertainment looking over and say, oh, let me tune into that person. I remember him. I was at that show when I seen him jump in the ring with his entourage and everything. And he put on brass knuckles and punched Big Show in the nose. That builds up your profile, dog. So look, to close this out, and this topic right here, people gonna start putting respect on Paul's name, dog. And look, the only finger point that you should be directing is at the system of boxing. That's it. That's it. You don't point it at the promoters. No, don't do that because the sanctioned bodies are an accomplice to this too. So you have the sanctioning bodies, you have the dang promotions, you have the trainers, the managers, all this rigmarole, the same stuff that's been going on over there with Serafina saying that this and that was stolen. This shit that's light comparable to what's going on in sport of boxing with the bigger dogs. That's lightweight. I'm just giving you a little piece of how dirty boxing is, and that you shouldn't not stress yourself out to believe that you're going to get the fight that you want. Like you shouldn't just basically jettison your friends that you know on here all because they don't agree with your favorite fighter. You really putting unnecessary stress on shit that you don't have no control on whether it's going to happen or not. We don't know if we're going to get the best fights in 2022, but what all the collective entities in boxing, all the moving parts, they will put it on the motherfucking treadmill enough in the media, let you get used to seeing it on the treadmill, and then they might take it off and they put it in a different location. Now you get to really pay attention to it. They might give some false information to a news media as if it's about to happen. Then they're going to take it off, put it back on the treadmill, let it sit a little bit. Something different is going to come up. It's all about the moving pieces, man. It's a kaleidoscope. Don't let the sport that's in a system that's unregulated have you thinking you should be taking that shit serious each and every time that you speak about the sport. You're going to stress yourself the fuck out. Boxing is a grimy, dirty sport. It's been like that forever. This shit was crumbling during the pandemic. How does it not have a plan B, C, and D? How can you not have a reserve to help the fighters at least have a stipend for a certain amount of months until boxing is able to resume? It's certain boxers, it's certain fighters that was fighting before the pandemic and they had to get jobs and they ain't returned to the sport yet. Because now they out there working, they're receiving a paycheck and they say, shit, fuck that. I'm starting to work towards retirement. People need to really take note, man, and zoom in and not stress themselves out about boxing because you have no control over nothing. YouTube has no control over nothing. I'm going to be honest with you. Sometimes I do play the game and be antagonistic sometimes because some people take this shit too serious and they actually believe the amount of energy that they insert into a conversation the results is gonna get them to fight tomorrow. It's not gonna happen. It's just good for TV. It's good for content. But if you're not talking to the people behind the scenes, your heart is never gonna be settled because it's shit you don't know. And then you have closed-minded, stubborn people that's not willing to listen to you unless you have a huge amount of artificial intelligence attached to your YouTube channel. You have all these subscribers and they actually don't do the process of elimination. They would see all these subscribers that you have up underneath your name, but when you're live, you barely have 200, 300 out of 70-some thousand subscribers. Where the fuck are they at? They took the time to subscribe to your channel. Why they ain't back? I look at it that way. Pretty much, I know majority of the common players is in my live chat. To me, that's easy work. I'm communicating with people who I have an understanding who they are. I want you to treat the system of boxing just like the subscribers. You see it for what it is, but you need to understand how it operates. It's a lot of shit that's fake and it's a lot of shit that's real in boxing. But the fake shit people don't want to pay attention to because they want the sport to be legitimate. They want the sport to be real all the way around, and it's not. They're going to be a winner and it's going to be a loser. All right, most of the time. And then if they really want to get down to it and possibly save a boxer from blemishing their career, they'll damn give a draw, which is considered a robbery a lot of times. They'll render a draw to a fight that one fighter should have won, but since they're trying to save the fighter, they can't give him a win. They'll catch too much backlash, so they give a draw. That's still robbing the fighter. You know what I'm saying? It's still robbing the fighter, because the fighter that they thought that was going to win, right? He didn't do enough to basically separate himself in the eye of the viewing audience. So therefore, they gave him a draw to fight another day. He goes all the way to the right in blue as a draw. The one who was robbed was who? The B side, who actually stepped up to the plate, but he didn't get the decision because he doesn't have the profile yet. His profile isn't big enough. But the A side has a profile big enough for somebody to get behind him and push him. So the one that was supposed to win didn't fight like he was a winner. He really lost. They gave him a draw. And the person that was robbed was actually the B side, who was there to actually lose, but he ended up stepping up to the plate. Michael Fox, Maestro, that's a perfect example right there. Maestro coming there already with fucked up gloves. Nothing happened. Man, come on, man. Stop beautifying the Wicked Witch, man. Stop beautifying. Stop trying to put them nice clothes where you see that long ass nose and ugly face. Stop doing it. The man came in there with damn fucked up gloves. He was very inexperienced on his record, but they was building him up. They was trying to establish his profile. He went in there, got his ass beat. He lost. And they robbed who? They robbed Fox. Perfect example. Anybody pay the price? Because Fox did submit a petition, right? The petition was denied to overturn or do any type of revisions or amend the decision that was rendered. That's boxing. That's the system, y'all. Come on, man. That's the system right there. Understand how the system operates, man. Stop being all bent out of shape on these debates and everything else. Why people, shoving friends and making all these threats and doing all that shit over boxing topics. You're talking about a sport that's not regulated, that's full of deceit and lies that ruin people's well-being and health. I'm not preaching. I'm just stating some opinionated narratives. God damn it! Let me take Jake Paul down because he's been up here too long, bro. I see you up the road, Jake Paul. You know what I'm saying? Because I know he's gonna do some bigger things from what I'm hearing, and they really pushing Jake Paul, man. Seriously, they really pushing Jake Paul. Let's talk about this right here. This might get you, your blood flowing just a little bit. You know what I'm saying? This is the brother of Jake Paul, Logan Paul. All right. This might get you a little bit better, attention gainer. All right. So y'all remember when the calendar date was scheduled for Teofimo Lopez to face George Kambosos? You remember that shit, right? So you remember when an exhibition bout was supposed to take place, right? And that shit was canceled by Teofimo Lopez and George Kambosos. Triller decided to retreat because Floyd Mayweather came in and said, I want to be a piece of this, just like he did when Gennady Golovkin 1 was taking place. Floyd is known to do this shit, right? So Logan Paul, right? Logan Paul is saying that fight in particular that he had with Floyd Mayweather, there was no compensation. There was no compensation. There was no compensation, y'all. There was no compensation. Check this out. It says Floyd Mayweather and his manager Al Heyman are being sued by investors following the boxing match against Logan Paul last summer. Now, people talk about black all the time when it's convenient for them, but you don't have topics like this floating around on what's reality. The reality, there is going on over at PBC, just like Barbershop Conversation I mentioned, and he went in detail about. It's something I already knew. I really didn't mention it because it wasn't out, and then I didn't want it to go to waste on bringing it out until I gather some more bits and pieces, because I communicate with my communication, who communicate what they communicate to me. It said Mayweather and Paul lasted 8 rounds, right? But neither was confirmed as the winner, as the event was just an exhibition. We know that. I'm moving on. Earlier this week, on Tuesday, February 1st, the investor company, Yogi Securities Holdings, LLC, filed a lawsuit of Los Angeles Superior Court. The company are reportedly seeking $5.6 million from Mayweather and Al Heyman, while a further $15 million could potentially be claimed by the company and the individual invest in the fight. So what I'm going to do for my audience, I'm going to share screen right quick because I want you to follow along in what I'm reading. You know what I'm saying? So I'm right here. So according to the lawsuit, it has been claimed that instead of paying Yogi Security Holdings LLC back their $1.4 million investment, Mayweather Promotions invested it in another fight. Now, once again, let me dangle the cap a little bit, because there's no rabbit in there for this. There's no rabbit in the hat, bro. There's no rabbit in the hat. They pretty much told this investor that they was gonna, I have to put allegedly in there. I ain't trying to run into no phone calls. Allegedly, there was tickets given to this individual. Also, there was money invested into this particular fight for the LLC. And they said they was going to get their money back at this particular time. They did not receive anything after the fight was over with. Why? Because it didn't do that well. The fight didn't raise numbers the way they thought. It says the real estate investor claims he was approached about initial investment by Mayweather while buying a home in California shortly before the fight. The complaint notes the plaintiff is informed and believes that each of the statements made by each of the defendants were false. Intended that plaintiff rely on the truth to their detriment in initially paying $1.4 million and thereafter in foregoing any legal action that may disrupt defendants' fraudulent schemes in further events. That's pretty much saying, just like we have some individuals that's not being paid thus far because they had deferred payments, right? That person being Floyd, that person being Adrian Broner, and many others. So allegedly in this situation, it had to do with all these rich people, Floyd Mayweather and Al Heyman, seeking money from investors. After the lights had dimmed and the arena was cleaned up and the doors were shut, this individual never received the money that they were supposed to. Allegedly, I was told that certain individuals was paid allegedly by Mayweather and the check didn't clear. Allegedly. Also, allegedly, I was told that an increment of money was given to this particular individual from Yogi Securities. 100,000, I believe. Yogi Security Holdings, LLC. but it wasn't nowhere close to the 1.4 million. And then the guy continued to call, or whoever he was, and allegedly another 100,000 allegedly was given to Yogi Securities. Now, the wild part about this is that these are considered two rich individuals, right? These are considered two rich individuals. You want to know what else allegedly that I heard was that they told them they was going to invest it in the Pacquiao, you know what I'm saying? In the Pacquiao Ugas fight. Boom, they was looking for to get money back. After that fight was over with, the guy was like, okay, where is it? Boom, it didn't happen. And then some a couple other fights after that. Boom, it didn't happen. They was pretty much trying to flip, like they flipping a house. They was going to invest the money in the fight, hoping for the fight to make money, and then take a portion of that proceeds and pay back this Yogi Securities. Note that Yogi Securities isn't the only investor that is owed, allegedly. They're not. People who are owed money. And we're talking about rich people here. It goes on to say, right? I'm right here. It said it continues. In fact, the plaintiff did rely on their truth in paying 1.4 million and agreeing to wait and forego any legal action. They gave him opportunities, bro. From June 2021 through December 2020, from June 2021 through December 2021. The entire time allowing these defendants to continue using the monies for purchasing of tickets at events and reaping the profits. All right. Mayweather team have not yet publicly responded to the lawsuit. The news come after it emerged that Mayweather had failed to pay Paul after their highly anticipated fight. So you remember when news break and Paul said he didn't get paid? Imagine not getting paid that amount of money and still being able to live. That's how good they are right now. So how does it look for Floyd to be continuing to fight at his age, but yet people have spoke about money problems. And the fact that Logan Paul did not get paid. Now you have information coming out that this Yogi Securities LLC has filed a lawsuit. It goes on to say why he was reportedly expected to bring in 15 million from the event. 15 million they was expected to receive, and you can't pay this man his money. Paul has claimed he has never been fully paid by Mayweather. Fully paid. They might have gave him $15, but he wasn't paid his full paycheck. Many have speculated why Paul wasn't paid, with UFC President Dana White weighing in on the issue doing another podcast. He know that here's what happened when you go in and do these fights. You do these fights that are exhibitions or whatever the commission isn't overseeing it. In exhibition matches like Paul and Mayweather, the power of the commission is held by the promoters, which in this case was Mayweather Promotions. White continued that was the big problem in the past is that these boxing promoters would come in and they wouldn't make as much money as they thought they were going to do. So they would stiff the fighters and not pay the guys. Haven't you heard me mention something like that before on fighters signing a contract for $1 when they supposed to get, $1,500, $2,000 just for tax purposes. And sometime after the fight, they get paid extensively lower than what the verbal agreement was, because you can't go to the contract because the contract's saying you signed the fight for $1. But when it's all said and done, sometimes a fighter gets stiff for money and there's nothing you can do. Because on the contract, it says what? It's binding. The track is binding. So when it looks to Logan Paul and Mayweather, people should look sideways now and say, damn, I thought he was super duper paid. I see the cars, the houses. And look, that doesn't mean he's broke. It just means when you have rich people, sometimes they know that they will procrastinate or delay something, even if they got the money. They'll find another way to flip that money without it actually being something that's coming out their assets or their monies that they have. It happens all the time for rich people. They always feel that instead of them digging into their account, they can flip the money. They know people, they can connect, and they can make the money up and then give it to the debtor. Pay the debt. That's how they think. They can pay the debt. But the one thing about allegedly what's going on in PBC is the fact that they owe multiple investors millions that basically invested in monies that they thought they was going to get back because that was the agreement. So with PBC allegedly overpaying their fighters, that well of money, the water, the monetary water that was in there, that shit is all dried up. Now you're going to continue. Now you're going to see in 2022 PPVs. You're going to see them try to recoup. Also, you might want to take a look at how PBC is potentially rebranding. Okay, I told you this before. If you look at the weigh-in, look, check out the possibility of them rebranding, and check out the possibility of them potentially changing their name. Because if this goes to court, it's going to get nasty. And I'm going to take I'm going to take another guess than what I've read. Look at this now. Look at another smart little nugget. Yogi Security Holdings LLC. All right. LLC. What does that mean? A limited liability company. That's what it is. It takes the liability off someone going for your personal assets. Is PBC a LLC? I don't think so. Let me go on in this situation about these investors being owed money. It said Floyd Mayweather and his manager Al Haymon has been hit with a breach of contract lawsuit relating to last summer exhibition fight. Boxing legend Mayweather fought. Okay, I'm not going through that. And now a California real estate investor has filed suit against the 50-0 former world champion, accusing him of not paying investors back after getting a number of people to spend over $1.4 million on tickets. All right. Now, this is what I said earlier about the tickets. They gave them tickets. Let me turn y'all on to something, right? This happens all the time. Bad. I was even a victim. No lie. I was a victim of this. When they talk about spending $1.4 million on tickets to the event, what they did was, all those seats that's close to the ring that cost all that money for the event? They pretty much took the money from these investors and gave them tickets to sell at triple or whatever the price, upcharge the fuck out of them. When they give you these tickets, it's up to you to sell them at whatever price you plan on selling. Usually these tickets are way higher and double the price. Let me turn you on the game now, because I've been there. I was a victim of this. So these people was believing that they was going to sell these tickets for this high dollar price outside of what you should put up on Ticket Stub or whatever, and they should be a basic price. No, they gray it out. They take a certain amount of tickets, boom, they disperse them to the investors and tell them to sell them at this price, and then come back with what they made or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So whatever business arrangement they have internally, they do the numbers and everything with the amount of tickets that were sold and what they were sold for that particular money that's owed. And I'm pretty sure, common sense wise, you take what you made off the tickets and you deduct it from what was initially given. Because you gave them the money and they gave you a product to attempt to return that money, try to recoup that money. If the individuals are unable to recoup that money, then guess what? You still owe them the money. because they gave you the money. They pretty much owned up to their side of the bargain. Now let me explain to you how I was a victim. I bought a ticket one time. I'm not going to say the fight from who. I bought a ticket one time and it was pretty close, right? And I was like, cool, I had communication with the cat, you know, and I thought it was all good, whatever. And this is pretty much that right there. And let me back up a little bit. I'm not going to say what promotion, but this happens all over where they take tickets and they call them comp tickets, and certain people that's part of the team, they go out here and sell these tickets to people for an incredible amount of dollars above what you would usually buy them online. That's why when a big fight come up and you want to buy shit right here and it's all grayed out already, you say, what the fuck? How could that shit be? The tickets just went on sale. Because they always take comp tickets out, and those individuals make pocket full of money upcharging those tickets. So for me, I purchased one of those tickets and went to get into the building. I'm standing in lines. Cool, boom, it's my turn. Nah, the ticket ain't working. I told you go to these events, you learn the game, right? Your ticket ain't working. I say it got to be working. So I talked to a person that's been on here. Look, I talked to a person that's been on YouTube. I call him up because he was a part of it. I got the number. I said, hey, the ticket's not working. I'm out here. The fights have started. What's going on? Why? He said, no, call so-and-so. I said, I did. Those people are not answering the phone. You want to hear the crazy part? I had to purchase a cheap ticket just to get in the building to go to my seat. Once again, I paid someone for a ticket that's close to the ring. I couldn't get a hold of them. The person who I called told me to get in contact with them. He said, no, man, you got it. And they run you through this whole story. Like they take you through this whole highway of traffic. No, you paid for the ticket. You did this, and this. I said, I know what I did. I had a ticket right here, but they saying that this is not working. And this happens all the time. But I learned the hard way. Went in there, boom, the ticket didn't work. So I had to purchase another ticket, get in, boom. I'm going to locate my motherfucking seat. I'm going with my ticket stub to locate my seat. I go to the seat and there's somebody sitting there. I say, this is my seat. They say, no, it's my seat. I say, how? Show me your ticket stub. I bought the ticket. I said, no, you don't have no ticket stub. This is my seat. Oh, so-and-so sold me the ticket. Yeah, I know. But you don't have a ticket stub, do you? So you don't have a ticket stub. We don't have no conversation. It ain't nothing we got to talk about. And it ended up working itself out. But I learned a lesson that night that sometimes they be double selling the tickets. It was bad at Wilder Fury 3. It was bad at Wilder Fury rematch. It's bad in a lot of big matches. But if you're not there and you don't understand and you don't know certain people that's a part of it, you would never know what's going on. Some people heads turned on Wilder Fury 3. I never even spoke on this shit. Some heads turned. Like when I say some heads turned, I'm talking about some head was being knocked on some important people who bought tickets to the fight and couldn't get the fuck in on time because them comp tickets were sold more than one time. So when it came time for them to put the shit in there, guess what? They couldn't get in. Then when the people finally somebody was able to get a hold of them, because you can't get a hold of these people on fight night. You're sitting up there trying to get in. They know you calling. They ain't picking up the phone. And somehow, these people get in the best way they know how. They take their ticket stub like I did and goddamn go find their seats and say, hey, you in my this? No, I got the ticket stub. Well, I bought this from so-and-so. Yeah, I did too. I want my motherfucking seat. And it caused a lot of friction, bro. So remember that when you think you're getting a deal on some front seats, I'm telling you, I'm giving you a gem. I'm being honest as my audience. Be very careful on buying these tickets from people that you know from these promotions, and you get a good ass deal, so to speak, and you get there, the ticket don't work. There's a lot more people on YouTube that went to the same shit, and they just don't want to talk about it. Anyway, back to Floyd Mayweather. Yogi Securities Holdings LLC launched legal proceedings against Mayweather, Heyman, and Mayweather Promotions on Tuesday morning in Superior Court for the State of California Court of Los Angeles. They are seeking at least 5.856 mil euro, 4.3 million from Mayweather, Heyman, Mayweather Promotions, as well as further amount that could be as high as 15 million from other defendants, including various companies and individuals associated with the boxer. This is big. This is what, the shit that Fred was talking about over there. He was making it known. It goes on to say, Engeloff and Mayweather are said to have been friends for a number of years, according to the legal documents seen by Mirror Fighting, with boxers said to have told Engeloff that he has like family to Mayweather and Heyman. And it is claimed that, let me see. Oh, and it was claimed that he was first approached about the ticket investment when Mayweather was negotiating with him over buying a home in Bel Air, California, just weeks before the fight. The lawsuit claims that Yogi, 1.4 million investment, was reinvested without his consent into another Mayweather promotion event and then reinvested. See, that's the shit I was talking about earlier. They was reinvesting this into other fights, hoping to recoup money so they wouldn't have to reach into their own balance and own assets to pay this guy. But it didn't work. Without his consent, another Mayweather Promotions event, and then reinvested in another fight. They never received their initial investment back past a $200,000 payment stemming from security transactions after they had initially only planned to invest $1.2 million. They are also claiming that they did not see any of the profits that was estimated to be over $5 million. Yogi said in the complaint, plaintiff is informed and believed that each of statements made by each of the defendants were false, intended that plaintiffs rely on their truth to the detriment and initially paying $1.4 million and thereafter foregoing any legal action that may disrupt defendants' fraudulent schemes and further events and fights. This is serious. In fact, the plaintiffs did rely on their truth in paying $1.4 million and agreeing to wait and forego any legal actions, just like I read previously. He waited. The boxing icon, they're talking about Floyd Mayweather, joked after Gervonta Davis' fight against Isaac Cruz that he was the best bank robber and implied that the Paul fight made him $100 million. $100 million. I'm the only person that can do a fake fight and get $100 million. I remember him saying that. Mayweather laughed as he spoke to the media members before the post-fight press conference. He also joked, I could do legalized sparring and get $100 million. He continued to ask his partner, Leonard Ellaby, am I the best bank robber? Because I don't know nobody in the sport that's my age and can still stick them up like that. So that's something Mayweather's going to have to take care of over time. I'm not feeling any type of sympathy because he has way enough money to take care of this shit, dog. Way enough money, dog. Shout out to everybody that's in the building. I know y'all been dropping chats over here. Yeah, the investor would do to the original 1.4 million, 25% of the sale of the tickets. Sometimes billionaires like to dabble in common folks' endeavors as sort of a hobby. Correct. It's a hobby when you're dealing with that amount of money, huh? And because me and you, Andrew, we can't do that shit. We talking about, I put 25 in that motherfucker. What you mean 25? How many O's we talking? I ain't talking about no O's, motherfucker. I'm talking about $25. You know what I'm saying? The $25, not $250, not motherfucking $2,500, not $25,000. But they dibble and dabble as a hobby, bro. PBC and Al is out here buying up all the tickets and then putting astronomical resale prices. Some of the time they're not buying up the tickets they're done, daughter. They're pretty much when they're in charge, they're over a fight. They're collecting comp tickets and dispersing them amongst certain individuals to sell to get certain prices, this, that, and the other. Yeah, and sometimes they're double selling these tickets and ripping people off allegedly. But they have no real concern over any positive or negative repercussions to the individuals involved. You know why? Because they can delay that shit, Andrew, because they know they have the money for any legal heat that's coming their way, any legal action that's coming their way. They have a legal team. This looks bad in the media, but rich people do this type of shit all the time. They don't pay people. They wait, they stall them out, and then when they get real serious, your money. By that time, they've recouped it. Rich people do each other like that all the time, man. By that time, when they get real serious, they've recouped the money. Scapping on a whole other level. There was a beef between Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn before as well. True. It was, but I gotta stay on topic. It's grimy, but I'm not shocked by it. Ticket stub will buy all the tickets, then a story will come out that the so-so fighter sold out in one day. Well, we know even across the pond how they take a percentage of the tickets. They being the promoters and whoever that's in charge of, finessing the numbers. And you're right. They can say, okay, let's buy this and we're going to give them to a third party to sell. That shit happens all the time. They get a certain number of tickets and then they give them to a third party to sell. That's how they're recouping some of the revenue. You're never going to maximize it unless it's just a crazy fight, a crazy huge, one of the biggest fight in history. But guess what? Even with the biggest fight in history, you have greedy individuals that will take tickets and try to charge 3 times what they're worth. Not only that, they would double sell the ticket to the point where that person's paid all the money. They come and try to get in, especially if you're coming from another country. They try to get into the fight and can't get in because they probably bought some shit online, which that was a comp ticket. They was able to damn purchase shit online, and then somebody else done had the damn ticket and sold it, on deck. So you have 2 sales. The person that's whoever get to the fight first, boom. Okay, the ticket's been scanned. Boom, you go in. You get that second. No, your ticket's not working. I bought it online. It's not working. A lot of people get stiff that way. They basically trying to gamble with other people's money and doing their fans wrong. I agree, man. I agree. Real talk. I totally agree with that. But when it comes down to, all these rich people and how they do business, it's not the first time Floyd has been into a situation. Al Heyman helped him clear off a debt before. Al Heyman and Floyd, they doing what they doing, man. They out there hustling, sliding, moving, shaking. You know what I'm saying? Trying to make deals. They phones stay lit, trying to make more money on top of more money on top of more money. They would take somebody else's money, just like Andrew said. They'll take somebody else's money and gamble with it and try to damn make more money off of it. That's been going on for so long. But it's when it doesn't work, that's when it becomes a problem. And rich people, they's like, they look at 1.4 and they probably look at it like, it's a big deal now because they had multiple people investing. So they got multiple rich people to agree on this. And those people looking at like, hey, okay, let's just say they put in 300,000, 200,000 each. I'm not for sure how many investors, was collectively contributing to that number 1.4. But I'm pretty sure it was like them coming off of $20, $25, $30 for us. So they put the money and they say, okay, if I'm gonna make this back, cool. Why not? So when they didn't get their money back, it's not like they're hurting. They're not broke like that. But then they become furious when they see Floyd Mayweather on TV saying that he made 100 million and he the greatest stick up man. I don't see nobody else being the greatest stick up man. And like he's rubbing it in their face. And though the guy is filing a lawsuit and it seems like a lot of money, it's not, because they'll come up with that money in no time, man. They just gonna wait and wait till it become a problem. They know they have a legal team. They're gonna get with their legal team, and this is what you need to do. You need to have by this time, and they tell them to go to the courts and read this and get that document, to fill this out, and they stay on track with it. Not until it gets to a certain point, they already have the money, and then they're gonna say, "Hey, my client agrees to pay you back," and then you're gonna see it disappear. It's over. It's done. Of course, they're gonna have to pay for attorney fees and stuff like that, but it's done. They're not worried about that. They're gonna pay them the money back and be over with. Or unless we don't know something else in the fine details, those people might have to wait a little bit longer until they see their money. Either way it goes, it's rich people type shit. Rich people hustle, bro. And PBCs, they in trouble, man. They owe a lot of people. The hedge fund people, they owe them. Now, the hedge fund individuals, they're not the ones that owe 1.4. Their numbers are way more higher than 1.4. God damn. But Logan Paul will be okay. Next is y'all boy, Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia, right? Mr. Capione. You know what I'm saying? This Ryan Garcia.
Tank, I'm going to say it in front of Mike and Jeremy. If you do not take this fight, your legacy is forever tainted. Nobody will ever remember your name. Nobody. The money's there. I know you love money, but money's there.
Damn.
If you don't take the fight next, your whole legacy forever is tainted if you don't take the next fight with me.
Oh, my God.
God damn. God damn, Tang. I ain't never heard no shit like this.
Ooh, he's capping.
You get the picture. Ryan Garcia is at it again. He told us he was going to come back and fight somebody that was important, somebody we can pay attention to. And, the sources has revealed that Ryan Garcia is facing Emmanuel Tagul. They're in process of finalizing the deal for an April 9th fight in U.S. on the zone. This is huge. This is breaking news, dog. This is freaking breaking news. Don't you think? Seriously, don't you think this is breaking news? Emmanuel Tagul? Don't you think that's freaking breaking news? When is Ryan gonna stop, man? Ryan is 21-0 and 18 knockouts, right? His last fight was January 2021. All right. We all know how that played out. So we are just outside of a year removed, right, from his last fight with Luke Campbell. Most of the boxers this day and time take a year off. Why is he coming back and fighting Emmanuel Tagul? Why? In the Alamo, San Antonio. Why, bro? Emmanuel Tagul, he's 32-1. Yeah. But let me do some justice. Let me do y'all some justice right quick, because this is the last topic I'm gonna talk about in this scheme of things. Okay. Let me show you something. This is why I say don't get frustrated at boxing. Don't do it. Don't get too frustrated at boxing, man. Let me show you something. This is something you should be able to sleep very, very softly on your pillow, knowing that Ryan Garcia, ooh, he's cappy, yo. He ain't capping on this. He's for real. He's for real, shawty. Check this out, though. Look at this right here, Emmanuel Tagul. All right, let me take this damn thumbnail down. Right here. Now check out this box rec. This is Emmanuel Targo, right? He's 32-1, and you're saying to yourself, "Oh shit, this is good for Ryan. That record is gonna look great. 32-1, 15 knockouts. Let's go." He's from Ghana. Let's go down. There it is, y'all. Scheduled. Ryan Garcia, 21-0, right? Scheduled. Show me what you see. Most of these guys, most of Emmanuel's fight is in Ghana. Most of his fights is in Ghana. Look at that. His only loss this far in his career was when he initially became professional. He was knocked out in the 5th round. That was back in 2004. He was stopped. But look at all these fights in Ghana. Ghana. There go U.S. flag. Wow. There go U.S. flag right there. There go another one. So let's count this. 1, 2. No way. No sé, amigo. 1, 2, no. So basically, we only see 2 U.S. flags. And that last one was against Mason Menard. All right. Yeah, the same Mason Menard that Devin Haney stopped in 9 rounds and Teofimo Lopez stopped in the 1st round. Yeah, that's the same Mason Menard. He went the distance. He went the distance and won a majority decision in November 2020. And somehow, some way, Golden Boy was able to lure this guy into the U.S. again. Look at this picture. I mean, he doesn't even look like he's enthusiastic about even taking a picture to be a professional boxer. He's like, come on, get it over with, man. I got to go, man. Get it over with. But he's facing Emmanuel Targo, 32-1, 15 knockouts, man. They don't want to put his age up there. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, your 10 minutes are over. That's Ryan Garcia's next opponent. Per, Mike Coppinger. They put the news out. And I'm not really putting too much emphasis into it, but it pretty much tells you what you need to know. Targo has fought outside of his native Ghana twice. Story coming to ESPN. So they're going to put money into doing a promo and a story to build up Emmanuel Targo. Look, I guarantee this fight does numbers. All right. Ryan Garcia returning to the sport, fight Emmanuel Targo. We're talking about, look, when they talk about getting the coins, man, we're talking about 12 to 13 cents. This fight is going to get the coins. 14, 17 cents per se. We're looking at about 17 cents, man. Rounded up to 20. It don't matter how much promo they do. How many cameramen go out there and do a story on Ghana and make it look like they're impoverished and all this other stuff, and he's fighting his way just like they did Richard Comey. We already know the story. It's not going to booster any type of attention, positive attention from Ryan Garcia fans or those who aren't his fans, who's just straight up boxing fans. They're going to look at this fight as a joke. What does Floyd gain from partaking in these schemes? Is the fact that he could attempt to make money off other people's money. He's in charge of Mayweather Promotions. So therefore, if he gets someone else to invest, because these fights cost money, if he gets somebody else to invest in this money, which he believes that he doesn't have to contribute his own funds, then that's how it goes. They believe that they can make the money back off somebody else's dime. Or else, if they don't take the investment, they have to go into their own monies, their own accounts. We hear about these two being rich as hell all the time, but they can't pay somebody back on time. You know what I'm saying? Ryan, the most duck fight in the game. Yeah, Ryan, the most duck fight in the game. You know, Gervonta's legacy forever be tainted. But what he didn't put in there when he was on Mike Tyson podcast is that his legacy will be forever tainted because he was talking about himself. Tyson should call him on that bullshit, but he's just trying to enjoy life. I get it. L Dub on deck. What's good? If you take away all the hoopla and look at it strictly from development point of view, Tagu is good next step. Stop it, Andrew. Come on. It's a lot of shit you say that's real good. But tonight, man, put the eggnog and goddamn Everclear down. Put the eggnog and Everclear down. You talking about development? Ryan Garcia is not in development. They was boosting this man up to fight Gervonta. They was boosting this man to be Devin Haney's mandatory. He was considered to be a part of the Fab Five in the lightweight division. All of a sudden, he's a development fighter. He's a development. This dude was gonna fight JoJo Diaz. You know, Ryan Garcia is supposed to fight all the top names and never get it done. All of a sudden, he's a development. You right about that one thing, right? You right about from a development point. You're right. Tagu is a good, but I don't consider Ryan is in development. I just consider him to be a fighter that is not as good as people think he is outside of his flash videos. You know what I'm saying? He's not as good as his videographer. He has some work to be done, and plus his chin is questionable. Maybe Kambosos versus Ryan has a deal in place. Kambosos and Tagu shares the same promoter and manager and trainer. That's just not what I'm hearing with Kambosos. You know what I'm saying? Definitely wouldn't benefit Kambosos to fight Ryan Garcia. That'd be a step back for Kambosos if he's trying to go sell out and put butts in the seats in Australia. Ryan Garcia is not going to be that guy. Ryan Garcia has not even fought any of the champions, the top tier champions, like the Lomachenko, like the Devin Haney, like the Teofimo Lopez that's now is at 140. He hasn't fought him. If Kambosos is thinking about going over to Australia and filling the seats, he can't carry Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia is not the guy. Forget that. Kambosos is trying to get a big paycheck right now. He ain't trying to pick a lame duck. You know what I'm saying? And fly that shit over to Australia with all the other animals over there in the outback and say, look what I brought home. Yeah? Yeah? You know, yeah? You like? No, it's not happening. I wouldn't be surprised if Ryan snuck in a Kambosos fight. Bosos might feel real comfortable with that matchup as a break before he has to step in with a tougher opponent. You said Bozo might feel real comfortable, but Bozo is already said that he wasn't going to take an easy touch. He said, F that. That's what Kambosos said. F that. I want a big fight. You know why he want to fight? Big fight because he's trying to fight in Australia. He can't take no easy fight and fight over here in the U.S. when he's saying he feels that he's deserving to fight in Australia. He's saying he's deserving. I understand where Kambosos is trying to go. He wants to fight in his hometown because he said his people deserve it. He said he deserves it. You know why? Because he's been on the road for 3 to 4 years. I'll say about 4 years. He's been fighting on the road. So now that he has the straps, he wants to take that shit back home under the lights of Australia. But you can't expect to fill up the arena with Ryan Garcia, bro. You either got to have a Lomachenko or Devin Haney, period. You can't take no Ryan Garcia over there. You can't take a stiff. Tagu trains in Florida. Xander Zayas will be one of the sparring partners for Ryan Camp. That'll be good. Xander Zayas, good sparring partner. You know what I'm saying? Xander Zayas, the truth. That's the truth. But with Emmanuel Tagu, it just comes down to why such a soft touch. And then I have to correct myself because shit, he's fighting Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia might be a soft touch to Emmanuel Tagu. You know what I'm saying? Ryan Garcia might be the soft touch of this equation. Luke Campbell already done stretched his ass out. Emmanuel Tagu may be the George Camboso from freaking Ghana. He might come over here and shock the world and knock out Ryan Garcia. So I gotta to catch myself in that. I can't sit up here and say, well, why is Ryan taking a soft touch just because this guy only fought outside of his native country, Ghana, twice? He might come in here and knock Ryan the fuck out, dog. Seriously, he might do it. WBO ordered Ryan versus Tagu a couple of years ago, but Ryan chose to go down to WBC to fight Campbell. Hey, good choice for Ryan to do that shit. Good choice. You know, good choice for him to try to go over here and waste our time. You know what I'm saying? Good choice. He went over there and waste our time, man. I'm still leaning towards Loma getting the fight, but I think Bill and Eddie has been making a case behind the scenes. No, they've been having actual, stale talks right now. You know what I'm saying? Haney and them. They've had stalls in the talks. I expect Team Haney to go in there and negotiate the money and the worth. Of course, they're trying to see if the fight can be over here and capitalize and get the most revenue out of this fight. But then, the way Devin Haney was talking, I think it was Fight Hype. He was pretty much saying, to go over to Australia, there's a whole lot of things they have to do. They're basically making a sacrifice to go all the way over there in hopes of picking up the win, but yet they have to go through so much. You even heard Rick Glazer said, hey, if you're going to go over there to Australia, you need to take this person. And, it's a lot that you need. You need to make sure you get over there ahead of time. Due to the flying over that long flight, your body holding water, everything that goes along with that. You got to acclimate over there in Australia. You just can't show up over there the week of and think you're going to be good. You got to make weight. So he was pretty much saying you need to go over there like 3 to 4 weeks ahead of time. But I heard them talks are kind of stalled a little bit. Word is Tevin Foreman versus Mickey Bay is actually going to happen. Shout out to Mickey Bay, though. For real, shout out to Mickey Bay over there training Edgar Berlanga. Shout out to Mickey Bay. You know what I'm saying? Trainer fighter. Shout out to him being able to train Edgar Berlanga. I don't know what's going on. I'm still trying to find out the situation with Andre Rozier. And, I'm just trying to find out what's going on because, fighters switch trainers all the time, but I'm just trying to find out what's going on with that. Let me take Ryan Garcia. Let me take Mike Carpenter down. I don't want to give him too much of airplay that he already has every day, being a new ESPN employee. But we'll see if that fight is. I don't know, man. That's tough, bro. Tevin Foreman must have been living good off his fight money, his fights purses for real. Living good, shawty, for real. But yeah, there's a fight tomorrow. I'm gonna close this down with that. There's a fight tomorrow. All right. So I was talking to my people out there, and y'all want to know some inside scoop at the Mario Barrios and Keith Thurman fight? Okay. It's dead. Man, I was actually, because I set my live up to do the weigh-ins, but I was actually talking to one of my people out there, and they say, man, that shit is dead. That shit is dead. They say they're gonna lose money off that fight, man. They say it wasn't hard. It's not hardly anybody there. Hardly any media there. It's dead. I've seen fights like that where it's not that many media personnel is there. I've seen it before. I have. No doubt. I've seen it. But I have to look at it like this, man. It's not my problem. It's not my problem, man. You know what I'm saying? The only thing I can pay attention is on the fight itself. You know, both of the fighters made weight. Keith Thurman kind of surprised me just a little bit because he came in at 145. Dude, why? Why are you that far under? I'm not saying he ain't gonna rehydrate, but they want to make sure he was under the weight. You know what I'm saying? He must have had a hard weight cut at the end. He came in at 145. Barrios came in 146.5, dog. Come on, man. They on the dime with it. I think it's gonna be a good fight. Keith Thurman say Mario Barrios getting knocked the fuck out. You heard it. I don't think so. I think Mario Barrios, man, being he doesn't have to cut weight like he did at 140, it's gonna be a tough opposition for Keith Thurman. Like I sat there and watched him take the punishment for Gervonta Davis, and he invited the mayhem and chaos. He said, "Come on, let's go." Mario got heart, man. He earned my respect. Tank already got my respect, man. He's a beast, a savage. Mario earned my respect because he was in a bad situation, and he's bringing in the Aztec warriors. He's bringing all the Aztec with him. He's fighting with a different spirit. You know what I'm saying? And he don't say much, but he's not a slouch, man. He's not a pushover, and he's not a bum. And I think he may be a lot tougher to Keith Thurman than Keith Thurman believes. Keith Thurman is looking at it like I was a former unified champion. One time is back, and people not believing it. People not believing one time is back, shawty. If you're going to fight in Australia, you should probably live there for a little minute. And I agree, especially coming from America. Absolutely. The fight snuck up on me. I thought it was going to be later on. Man, every time I see Andre Rozier fighters, they be losing. You're right, Mitch. I can't deny that, bro. I mean, unless you're talking about Richard Coleman and shit like that. I mean, I was at one of his fights when he won the title. Andre Rozier was training him then too. Okay, when he picked up. So that's not exactly true, but I understand when you're talking about his fighters. I get it, bro. I get it. Tank, a tough son of a gun, because Daniel Jacobs was with him too, right? Tank, a tough son of a gun for knocking out Mario. He is, man. Tank is a savage, dog. Tank is a savage, for real. Now, Farmer be reinvesting that money out there in Philly. What? Okay, cool. That's awesome for the brother. That's awesome. Yeah, that's a cool little card. But my people, I gotta bounce, man. This has been an extenuated live. I appreciate everyone who pulled up as always, man. I salute y'all for tuning in, dropping your input. I know I was pretty much reading content today or whatever, but I just wanted to talk about certain situations that's blossoming in boxing and people not paying attention to them. You better treat that shit serious, because there's some moves that's happening. And you're going to hear other people talking about it down the road and act like they're the first to say it. I don't try to be first. I just want to put out, solid content. And sometimes I go in detail about it, but most of the time I don't have to. But at the end of the day, they pay attention to what the Paul brothers are doing, who's supporting them, who's getting behind them, who's willing to put their money with them. You know what I'm saying? They're booming right now. And for Floyd Mayweather and Al Heyman, they're going to have to get that shit together and pay attention to the changes that I said is going to happen coming up. Pay attention to it now. It's going to go down. It's going to happen. And for Ryan Garcia, I can care less, man. Turn up and tune in to World Combat Sports, man. I'm out. Appreciate